want to thank our administrator, Ms. Criswell, for joining us today to discuss FEMA's priorities for 2022 and the agency's 2022 through 2026 strategic plan. Since you were last here in June of 2021, this subcommittee has heard from several panels of witnesses that climate change, severe related weather events, and development in high-risk areas have changed the emergency management landscape. Today's disasters cause more damage, have greater impacts on communities, and require more time and money to recover. These new challenges to the recovery process make it imperative that FEMA cut the red tape within its assistance programs and deliver resources to individuals and communities in need in a timely fashion and in an equitable way. I continue to hear from stakeholders and witnesses that bureaucracy is adding inordinate complexity to the recovery process. As FEMA processes a record number of project worksheets and a multitude of individual assistance applications, it must become a priority to identify common sense ways to simplify these pipelines. Make no mistake, I'm impressed by the work that the men and women of FEMA have done to rise to the challenge time and time again, especially over the past 5 years as the workforce has been stretched to its limits. Now's the time to provide reinforcements so that FEMA can meet its present and future mission. Last month, I introduced bipartisan legislation designed to ensure FEMA has the tools it needs to recruit and retain qualified workers for its cadre of disaster reservists. The GAO and the RAND Corporation have stated that providing FEMA's workforce access to adequate protections, training, and benefits will enhance the agency's capabilities and create better outcomes for disaster survivors and communities. The unprecedented number of emergency and disaster declarations and capacity challenges burdening FEMA today must also inspire us to make proactive investments that will reduce the impact of future disasters and protect our communities. Mitigation is a proven way to save lives and property, and it's cost effective. I strongly support expanding funding for mitigation projects at the local and individual level. I hope the House will take a positive step today by passing the Bipartisan Resilient America Act, which I was pleased to support with Chairman DeFazio, Ranking Member Graves, and Subcommittee Ranking Member Mr. Webster. This legislation will boost resources for pre-disaster mitigation, including assistance for communities interested in updating their building codes. It will also establish a pilot block grant program so that states interested in assisting residents in the wilderness-urban interface can enhance defensible space around their property or install fire-resistant building materials. Mitigation cannot be effective unless it's fairly distributed across all communities. I'm concerned about stakeholder feedback that FEMA's mitigation assistance programs are only reaching the largest and best resources communities. The complexity of the hazard mitigation application process makes it nearly impossible for small, disadvantaged, and rural communities to successfully access these funds. I appreciate your attention to a letter sent by this subcommittee's leadership, which posed a series of questions regarding FEMA's efforts to streamline the hazard mitigation grants process. And I hope that implementing reforms to make this process more accessible will continue to be a shared priority of the committee and the agency so we move towards more equitable recovery programs. Administrator, I want to thank you for your work, what you have done to guide FEMA in a positive direction by acknowledging and addressing the impacts of climate change, prioritizing equity, and investing in mitigation and resilience. We look forward to your testimony and discussing how this committee can work with you to make additional progress in supporting disaster survivors in 2022 and beyond. I'd now like to welcome our